next item presented to City Council is the City of Tampa Advanced Traffic Management System Project Overview, which is presented by the Florida Department of Transportation, or FDOT for short.
FDOT explained that the City of Tampa, the greater Tampa area, are operating under an obsolete traffic management system that is not in sync and needs to be upgraded. Now, it's not necessarily that the traffic lights themselves are old, but rather the system that is regulating the flow of traffic is old. If you've driven in downtown Tampa and you've noticed that all the lights in the direction you are going turn green or red around the same time, this is because Tampa is operating with the new system.
This is why there's no getting stuck at certain lights in these areas, because the system is completely integrated. This new ATMS program requires sensors at intersections to determine the amount of cars present and adjust accordingly for the flow of traffic.
FDOT's plan is to begin the project and implement this system throughout Tampa by September 2023 with a budget of $38 million. The main benefits of this project, according to FDOT, is to reduce congestion, improve safety, improve signal network reliability, and allow quicker emergency response times through signal priority.
The presentation was succinct and well received by many of the council, including Maniscalco, who mentioned parts of his district where it is very clear that the lights are not synced.
Joseph Citro also favored the project and even mentioned that his office gets so many calls regarding traffic, debris in the highway, obstructions on the on and off ramps, on and on and on. Citro asked FDOT, who can the people call if there's something going on in the roads? And is there a centralized number they can call instead of calling his office or making multiple calls and wasting their time? Wow, isn't that so nice of Citro to mention that on behalf of the people who called his office?
I mean, that would imply that Citro actually listens to the calls that are made to his office.
That would also mean that he knows that the calls are there.
Or at least some of them. Interesting. FDOT answers Citro's concerns by citing that they will get back to him with a number that people can call if there is such an issue happening on the roadways.
Isn't it a good feeling to know that when you call about an issue, no matter how mundane, city council members will hear you out and get tangible answers for you?
Sure. Anyways, Councilmember Dingfelder also chimed in with his concerns. He expressed multiple doubts about these sensors and cameras that are being proposed and the possible misuse of them. Surprisingly, he even asked if law enforcement would have unrestricted access to the footage, if they'd need a warrant, and the possibility of other people being able to hack and access this information.
The response from FDOT is that the cameras do not record, they are only used to count vehicles, and the sensors also don't record information. Since they are traffic devices, other agencies, such as the police, could have access to them under the right circumstances. However, these conditions aren't made clear. FDOT also states that they have assured cybersecurity measures are enabled so that if someone was trying to hack into the systems, they would effectively block or cut off communication with that signal.
After Dingfelder felt his questions were answered, Councilman Goods asked about lighting under highway overpasses, as he feels that this is a concern that needs to be addressed. He recognizes that oftentimes the houseless folks reside in areas such as the ones underneath the overpass.
The response is that this is an issue that FDOT has supposedly worked through with the houseless folk before. FDOT mentioned that placing lighting in these areas in some cases has actually resulted in the houseless removing or damaging the lighting since they seem to not want them on. I think that makes sense since most people don't sleep with multiple fluorescent lights in their face.
Right, and most of us turn the lights off and go to sleep, so I find it odd that this conversation seems almost like an unusual circumstance to FDOT and City Council. But still, that is essentially the end of the conversation and will likely be addressed later down the line.
Right after the FDOT presentation, Councilman Carlson submits motion related to the traffic and safety, prompted by the conversation City Council had with FDOT, that the mobility staff be requested to study the possibility of installing crosswalks, and where necessary, always stops or lights at every public school entrance or exit in the city from the school property to the immediate adjacent block. If crosswalks cannot be installed because there is not an existing sidewalk, Sidewalks should be installed by the city to allow the crosswalk installation. Further, that a report be brought back before council on June 24th, 2021 at 10 a.m.
Carlson noted that in many areas there aren't sidewalks available, and this is something that has been addressed many times before, but he highlights the legal constraints that prevent the city from doing anything about it.
According to what we know as of right now, crosswalks have to connect sidewalk to sidewalk. If the area where we want to put a crosswalk doesn't have a sidewalk, then a sidewalk must be installed.
But if the place is in front of a private residence, they can't really do anything about it. So you can see how this goes around and around, going nowhere, and puts people at risk just to cross the street.
So Carlson motions to have the mobility staff look into these options, rules and regulations of installing sidewalks, always stops, or lights at every public school entrance or exit in the city. Their findings will be presented before the council on the 24th of June at 10 a.m.
All right, we are...